a series of virtual sessions initiated by Takshila Educational Society to further ideas that foster learning, self expression, and ingenuity. We at Takshila are keen on connecting young minds to an unbound range of themes, thoughts, and perspectives that facilitate their understanding of the world and its concerns. At this time of global crisis and social distancing, the sessions under Beyond Boundaries bring articulate speakers from the world of art, education, literature, science, and beyond to engage your time and mind. In today's session, from classical to Coke Studio, our speaker Vidya Shah illustrates the journey of Indian music. Vidya Shah is a well known Indian classical vocalist, musician, writer, and social activist. Trained in both Carnatic and Hindustani classical music, she is a prolific composer and popular performer. Her keen interest in highlighting the contributions of musical divas of the Gramophone era through the Women on Record project and her book titled Jalsa have garnered a lot of appreciation. Vidya has been involved with numerous regional and international organizations working to protect the rights and health of women. Vidya deftly fuses her classical training and the innate understanding of what pulls people to music into enhancing musical experience for audience of diverse ages and tastes. The speaker would converse for about 30 minutes on the topic. You may submit questions through the chat box on your YouTube channel. All questions from the viewers would be answered collectively by the speaker in the last 15 minutes of the session. Let us begin. Over to our speaker, Vidya Shah.
Thank you, Sitika, for that lovely introduction. And welcome all of you. I feel very happy to be a part of this series that Takshila has set off. Takshila Education Society has set off. They've always had, their mind and their heart in the world of art, culture, literature, cinema, everything that makes a human being a better person. So I'm very happy to be a part of this series, and it's an unusual situation as a musician. You know, I usually have audiences sitting in front of me, and I look at their faces for reactions. And this is definitely not a typical setting, but really, I think we all know that in the given circumstances, it is really the home that we can all afford to be in, and be careful, stay safe, all of that. And I would like to just share with you my own journeys of being in the world of music. And I'm given to understand that today we have students from middle, probably senior school. I'd like to share with you some ideas on why classical does not necessarily have to be boring. When I started learning, I come from a typical South Indian family, and when I started learning, I was fairly young. I was, still in junior school, and typically the way that we learn classical music, I used to have a masterji who used to come home, and he would teach me the South Indian style of classical music, which is referred to as Carnatic music. And for many years, when I was still very young, I used to feel like, oh my God, now this man has come again. Now, my evening is gone. Life is so boring. Why are my parents doing this to me? Why do I have to keep singing the same thing 10 times, 20 times, 30 times? He would just come and he would say, Acha, let us practice. In Carnatic music, for example, you initially have exercises. Just as you have, if you're a sports person, you have exercises for the body to warm up. And then there is something called core building for an athlete, where you're not just, if you're a runner, for example, you have to have strong muscles, you have to have stamina, you have to work on your physique. So everything, all of that goes into the making of you as a runner. So it's not just that you get up in the morning and you start running, right? So similarly, the world of music also requires that you do this kind of core building, or you develop your stamina, or you learn to focus. And so there are some very key points which decide your formative understanding and your foundation in music. So my master ji used to come, and in fact, I had even I still, the time when I grew up, there used to be villains in Hindi films, and I used to jokingly say, "Oh, this is like Prem Chopra aa gaya" types. So we used to feel very. It wasn't easy. So he would come, and he would just assign me to sing something and say, sing this 15 times, and then he would go, stand in the balcony for 5 minutes, come back, and then he'd say, "हाँ वो सुर ठीक नहीं लगा है, धैवत ठीक नहीं लगा है." So in the meantime, I would just have to keep sitting and doing, for example, sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ma ga re sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa sa ni da pa ma ga re so on and so forth. And it used to be really tiring and boring. And occasionally I used to say, I just have to, I have to, those days we had mobile phones, so there was no question of even looking at, if your master is away, you couldn't take a quick look at your Insta, your WhatsApp to check what the others are doing and whether they are doing something more cool than what you're having to do. Anyway, so the bottom line is that to be able to sing with confidence and with joy. So whether you are Pandit Bhimsen Joshi or you are Kishore Kumar, to be able to sing whatever it is that you enjoy singing or like singing, you have to work on your core. You have to go through the rigor of what we call talim. Talim is like when you go to school, you take talim in school. You take talim for various subjects in school. Similarly, you take talim for music. But the difference in the world of music is, unlike school, where you go, you're sitting in a class, 30, 40 people, and your science teacher comes, discusses, I don't know, velocity, motion, whatever. Your chemistry teacher comes and talks about the periodic table. Your math teacher comes and does whatever it is, trigonometry. But in the world of music, it is a one-on-one relationship. So what does that do? That makes it very intense. That makes it very close. So even the slightest mistake that you're making will be noticed. But on the other hand, you get complete attention of your guru. Whatever your guru says, you're learning, right? Okay, all this said and done about the learning pattern, which is, I'm sure all of you know, uh, in the Guru Shishya Parampara, right? But music is not just about sitting in this Guru Shishya Parampara, learning. We're all people of the 21st century. So, yes, classical music requires to understand, so for example, if you speak English in a certain way, and you say, I am going to school tomorrow morning. You can't say, I am going to, I was, no, let's think of a more relevant example. Let's say, I am eating a puri. So I am be eating a puri. That would be wrong, right? So why? Because there's a grammar which decides how you should be speaking in English. Similarly, there is a grammar which decides how you should be singing a particular rag. Having said that, you have to go through the rigor of the learning. But then, as people in this world of creatures of the 21st century, where we have exposure to so many different kinds of things, we can also find fun, interesting ways of approaching music, B, understanding music, three, practicing music or applying what you have learned in, say, in other ways. And this kind of applying music is not something new, which is what I want to tell all of you young people here. Because the notion that if you are a classical musician, that means, you must be learning whatever, rag, shag, bandish, वो तो है ही. But राग और बंदिश का यूज तो पॉपुलर म्यूजिक में भी होता है, बंदिश का यूज तो फोक म्यूजिक में भी होता है. फोक म्यूजिक को क्लासिकल तरीके से भी गाया जा सकता है, या फिर क्लासिकल या फिर कोई भजन हो, स्पिरिचुअल म्यूजिक, उसमें भी आप राग डाल सकते हैं. जैसे कि आप ले लीजिए एक भजन मीराबाई. मीराबाई वाज अ वेरी वेल नोन poet from Rajasthan. I'm sure you've all heard of Eri Mein Tu Prem Diwani or whatever. So if I want to sing a Meera bhajan, which goes which goes somewhat like this. Let's say, so I'm going to use my tanpura on the phone. Yeah, so I can also be cool. Huh? I can also have stuff on technology. So. So I'm singing you a Mirabai thing. So it's basically it says Meera was in love with Krishna. So a lot of her bhajans are about her love for Krishna. So she says, "Baso more nainan mein Nandalal." Don't leave my vision, Nandalala or Krishna. I'm so in love with you. Don't go away. Don't go away anywhere. Stay in my life. Stay in my line of vision. Yeah. बसो मोरे नैनन में नंद लाल बसो मोरे नैनन में नंद लाल बसो मोरे नैनन में नंद लाल बसो मोरे नंद लाल. So this, while this is just a bhajan, but because I'm classically trained, I sing it like a classical song. So I can choose. I can make it a much lighter song. I can say Baso more nainan mein nand lal baso. So this could actually be like a film song as well. Songs like this have been used in films. So the point I'm trying to make is classical has its grammar, has its structure, but it is not something which is located in an attic, which you cannot pull out, which you cannot think about, which you cannot apply in your own world. Now, one of the most simple examples of how classical gets used is how it gets used in film music. So recently, there's two songs that I'd like to share here, and all of you all, I'm sure, are great fans of Google. So I'll sing you a couple of lines from both the songs, and you can go and check out the original as well as the filmy adaptations of the song. So, for example, there is a song sung by Madhuri Dixit in a film called Ded Ishqiya, which is about 4 5 years old. So not too old also. And the song is back to my gadget. हमारी अतरिया पे आवो सावरिया देखा देखी बलम हुई जाए हमारी अतरिया पे आवो सावरिया देखा देखी बलम हुई जाए हमारी अतरिया पे. Or there's another song which is older. It is one of the songs that was sung in one of the first films when people started singing songs in films. So I'm looking at the third piece. So in that song has then later been used in a different melody, but similar, in a film called Khoobsurat, which some of you were born after it was made. But even then, it's about 10 years old. It's not very old. So there is a lot of, I'm sure you've read this concept in science. It's called osmosis. So there's a lot of osmosis that happens in the world of music as well. So although we say classical music, but classical is connecting. It's like a chain. It's connected to folk, it's connected to film, it's connected to devotional, it's connected to pop. So how is it connected to pop? Now, I will recommend a video, which again you can watch a little later if you're interested in. It was performed on Coke Studio. Some of you may know that Coke Studio is it's a sound space where a lot of songs are recorded. Some songs are popular, some songs are new, some songs are old. Maybe you heard a lot of Arijit Unplugged on Coke Studio or MTV Unplugged. Similar, Coke Studio, MTV Unplugged. Similar kind of experiences. You must have heard, I don't know, I can't hear any responses. but there is also people like Papon who recorded. So he's recorded, for example, रंजिशी सही दिल ही दुखाने के लिए आप से मुझे छोड़ के जाने के लिए so this became very popular on one of these Coke Studio, MTV Unplugged kind of channels. Now this is a very old song. It was sung by a legendary ghazal singer called Mehdi Hassan, and then it was again sung by another beautiful Bangladeshi singer called Runa Laila, who also learnt with Mehdi Hassan Saab, who was from Pakistan, and now Papon comes from Papon is an Indian singer who comes from Assam. So also look at the other journeys that music makes possible. That you sing a ghazal, then gets adapted in a Bangladeshi voice by this powerful voice. Runa Lela is again a very very famous singer of the 70s. Uh, she became famous for another very very popular song, which now all of you listen to versions by Mika and God knows who, but really she's the one who actually made this song very popular, which is हो लाल मेरी पत रखियो बला झूले लालन सुंदरी धार सेवन धा सखी का बाज कलंदर Samadam Mast Kalandar, Alisha Baz Kalandar. Anyway, I'm not going to sing the whole song. But the point is, Runa Lela, who also sings Ranjishi Sahi, which has also been sung by Papon, has also sung Samadam Mast Kalandar, which gets sung in various uh, Indian films. So the point I'm trying to make is that any musical form is not ऐसा नहीं है कि उसको हमने किसी चीज में तराश के रख दिया है और वहीं पे वो बात खत्म हो गई है. It has an organic existence. It has a life. It connects with everything that is going around us in society. So what might have been practiced as classical music one day is today performed in the Cook studio in a pop version of the same song. So the beauty of the music is that it lasts, it reinvents itself through these various journeys. Now, for example, Ranjishi Sahi, let's just go back to that very example. Now that is in the rag Yaman. Okay. I know that you all are students under Takshila, so you all have great exposure to music, which is such a fantastic thing that you all are getting, the exposure that you're getting, the sensitivity that you're getting towards music. Because music is not just about, it doesn't always have to be like foot tapping and party and, and fast. Music serves many purposes. If I ask you to think of what are some of the songs that you really like, I know I'm not going to get responses to this question, but in all likelihood, there will be soft numbers. Yeah, a lot of you like soft numbers. Why? We also like soft numbers because it has an emotional, sentimental, calming effect to it. Now, Ranjishi Sahi, as I said, is set in the rag Yaman. Okay, Yaman is one of the first rags that one is introduced to when one is learning. Sorry, I'm just looking for my bottle of water. When one is learning Khayal Gaiki, for example, very often rag like Hera, Yaman, those are the ones that are introduced to you first. Huh? So Ranjishi Sahi is in this rag Yaman, and so is Damadam Mast Kalandar. Okay, both these songs are in the same rag. So the rag offers so many possibilities. दोनों गानों में जमीन आसमान का फर्क है ना. एक गजल है, स्लो उर्दू पोएट्री चल रही है, और दूसरा एकदम फुट टैपिंग. पर दोनों जो है वो राग यमन में है. तो राग यमन थोड़ा सा मैं आपको उसके मजे लेते हैं. तो राग यमन का चलन कुछ उस प्रकार है. मेरे गा रे गा मा गा ma da ma ga ma da ma ga re ga ma ga re sa. Now, if I have to help you make an emotional attachment with this rag, okay? So emotional attachments can be of so many kinds, है ना? कभी रोना भी आता है, कभी हंसी भी आती है, कभी सुकून भी आता है. यार इतने सारे यूटी यूनिट टेस्ट दे दे के दिमाग खराब हो गया. Let's listen to something which is calm, which is calming, which will calm my nerves down. Hmm? So emotionally, music can come to you. Can you can relate with music in so many ways, yeah. So in Yaman itself, let's try and see how it can. Already I told you there is रंजिशी सही और हो लाल मेरी पत देखियो. So these are two types. Then this is bandit. I know most of you know because you have all these lecture demonstrations that go on in your school all the time. It's just a gentle reminder that a bandish is a composition. It's a song. Bandish मतलब बंधा हुआ, ठीक है, that which has structure. तो जब हम क्लासिकल में गाते हैं, अनलाइक इन से अ फिल्म सॉन्ग, तो एक बंदिश होती है और इस बंदिश को हम जॉइन पुल पुश कुछ भी करते हैं उसको लेकर. लेकिन हम उसका क्या कर सकते हैं वो हमारी ट्रेनिंग, हमारी प्रैक्टिस से निकल के आ सकता है. क्योंकि इट्स माय फ्रेमवर्क इज मेरे गा मा दा नी सा नी दा पा मा गा रे सा. This is my framework, which is Rag Yaman. I can't do within this framework mere ga ma da ma re ga re sa. That become a different melody. I can't do that. So I have to stick to my grammar. Mere ga ma da ni sa ni da pa ma da ni da pa ma ga ma da pa ma re ga da pa ma ga re ne re sa ni da pa ma pa da ni ga re sa ni da. So I can make it slow, I can make it fast, which is the beauty of classical music. It pushes you to be intelligent. I'm sure you all want to be intelligent. I'm sure you all don't want to be, some just geeky people who don't have anything else in life to do but just to do social media or play games like whatever that it is that we all like playing. So classical music allows you to expand your imagination, to become more intelligent, to become more focused. So Yaman. So if I take a bandish in Yaman and I want to play with it. So a popular bandish in Yaman is पिया बिना सखिए रे आजे पिया बिना सखिए रे आजे पिया बिना. So if I want to take a faster bandish, so that's speed again. It's not slow. So for example, मैं बारी बारी जाऊंगी प्रीतम पर जब आएंगे मोर मदरवा जब आएंगे मोर मदरवा. मैं बारी बारी जाऊंगी प्रीतम पर मैं बारी बारी जाऊं मैं बारी बारी जाऊं. So on and so forth. So what classical music does, I mean, this is music that has existed with us for more than 400 years. Maybe we'll do it in another session, the history of how it started and whatever, that we'll see later. But the fact is that something which has existed with us for centuries, and 100 years is a century, for many centuries, some 15th, 16th century it started. So something which has stayed. Let me tell you, 15 साल पहले की फिल्मों के गाने लोग बहुत जल्दी भूल जाते हैं. जो बंदिशें हैं वो 400 साल से चल रही हैं, तो कुछ तो होगा इस गाने में that people connect with it, people feel good about it. So it could be vocal music, it could be instrumental music, but like I said, it allows you to imagine, it allows you to make it your own. So in the same bandish, if I want to play around with the idea, the word for that in English is improvising. Okay, you're given an idea and you create different ideas with it. So if I want to improvise, I can do it mostly only in classical music. So let me take the same bandish. Huh? मैं वारी वारी जाऊंगी प्रीतम पर. Oof, I'm just falling in love with my Pritam or my lover. You all are slightly young to understand this, but for older people, it can be fun. मैं वारी वारी जाऊंगी. So what do you have to say? Pritam par, on my this friend, my dear friend, my best friend, my friend who I love. So how can you say your best friend? Pritam par, Pritam par, Pritam, my dearest one. Pritam, my lovely. Pritam, Pritam, assertive. Pritam, Pritam par, on my friend. So how many ways of saying Pritam? Pritam, Pritam, long. Pritam, my dear friend. So establishing the idea of friendship. Pritam, Varija. Oh my God, my dear friend, how much I love you. Varija, 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 playful. Varija, 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 playful again. Affectionate, playful, emotional, assertive, sentimental, fun. So many things possible with 4 words in one rag. Okay, so that is really the the amazing thing about this classical music, which people don't take seriously enough. We often say, oh हाँ classical music को तो फिल्मों में भी use कर लिया है और इधर भी, which I also said. But the point is उसकी अपनी खासियत क्या है? What is so special about it? आप लोग जब सुबह सुबह का कोई भैरव type राग सुनते हैं in school, I know in the morning some rag is played and you all listen to it. So if you close your eyes and say, suppose you listen to Bhairav, so close your eyes and you're saying whatever, right? I don't want to go into another big rag because I think we're going to be finishing this session soon. But whatever rag that you listen to or a bandish that you listen to, what it does, most importantly, whether you're listening to something and you don't know if it's Yaman or if it's Shuddh Sarang or if it's Bhairav or Bhairavi or whatever, Kafi, etc. You may not know that. But what it will definitely do, if you listen to it with interest, what it will definitely do is evoke a feeling, an emotion. So whether you're singing it with a sarangi and a tabla, or you're singing it in the Coke studio with drums and guitars, yeah. So the change that has happened, which is why we find it sometimes difficult to deal with classical music, is the sound. We get used to listening to music or melody or sound in a certain way. It has to have a certain sound quality. Stereophonic होना चाहिए, या फिर उसमें थोड़ा bass guitar होना चाहिए, या फिर उसमें कुछ interesting rhythm patterns होने चाहिए. It should not be just tabla. उसमें cajon भी होना चाहिए और उसमें darbuka भी होना चाहिए. So the manner in which we listen to music has changed because of the way technology has packaged it for us. But that doesn't take away from what I told you right at the beginning of our session, that the core has to be strong, whether you're a listener or a performer. Thank you for joining me today. And I think we're going to open up for some questions. I hope I will have some answers for them. Okay, let's see now. I have these questions on the WhatsApp. Okay, when you were a teenager and learning music, what sort of popular music did you like? Please sing one. Okay, I think I already sang you the Madam Mast Kalandar, which is really something that I grew up with. But I also listened to a lot of film music. My father was a big fan of two singers, uh, Kishore Kumar and Talat Mahmood. I was also very fond of this singer that I told you from Bangladesh, Runa Lala. So I'm going to sing you two lines of a film song that she did, which I really grew up with. Huh? Mm. तुम्हें हो न हो मुझको तो इतना यकीन है मुझे प्यार तुमसे नहीं है नहीं है मुझे प्यार तुमसे नहीं है तुम्हें हो न हो मुझको तो इतना यकीन है मुझे प्यार तुमसे नहीं है मगर मैंने ये राज अब तक न जाना कि क्यों प्यारी लगती है बातें तुम्हारी मैं क्यों तुमसे मिलने का ढूंढूं बहाना कभी मैंने चाहा तुम्हें छू के देखूं कभी मैंने चाहा तुम्हें पास लाना मगर फिर भी इस बात का तो यकीन है मुझे प्यार तुमसे nahi hai. My God, I'm singing this after years, okay, just by the way, but I used to love that song. Does learning music improve ability to study? I would strongly support that statement because when you do music, one of the things that really, any creative thing or any physical activity, this works across the board, whether you're doing sport or whether you're doing music or whatever, dance, what it does is it helps you build your concentration in ways that you will only realize later in life. एक तो हम लोगों का थोड़ा सा भी इंस्टेंट ग्रेटिफिकेशन वाला भी मामला है ना कि सामने से नहीं हो रहा है तो फिर उसका कोई मतलब नहीं है ऐसे नहीं होता है कुछ चीजों के लिए there's a very lovely word in Hindi stroke Urdu which is called ठहराव कुछ चीजों के लिए ठहराव चाहिए होता है you need to persevere and then some years later you will realize wasn't so bad after okay okay, there is, I don't know if this is a question from a teacher. It sounds like a teacher. Music classes could also explain the connectivity of rag and emotion. Well, there are many ways in which rag and emotion are connected, although, like I had said, that emotion and music is a very subjective thing. But there has been a lot of research on, for example, we have the ideas of the Navarasas or the nine rasas, or I mean loosely translated emotions or feelings. So there are ideas that connect various rags to the rasas, which also you will also see in semi-classical forms like thumri, not necessarily rag and rasa, but the lyric and the rasa. So for example, in Thumri Gayan, which is semi-classical singing of songs which are usually based on love, in fact, some of the songs, even in movies like, say, Bajirao Mastani, are very influenced by Thumri singing. Anyway, so songs like that are also connected to emotions very specifically, which could be, you know, love, anger, separation, so on and so forth. But that is a world in itself. I feel being a good singer is also a function of being a good performer. Well, you know, how are the two skills related? This sounds like a teacher type question. Actually, it's, you know, there are many stories, even historically. For example, Tansen's guru, Swami Haridas. You know, he was invited by the emperor, the Mughal emperor at that time, Akbar, to come and become his court musician. Tansen was also there, but this is Tansen's guru, and Tansen, well, these are stories. When when Akbar meets Swami Haridas, Tansen's guru, he says that I only sing to please God. I don't really sing to please my patron, who in this case was the Mughal emperor. So, you know, there are people, artists can be very, they can be mad, they can be what is called idiosyncratic, they can be in a world of their own. So there are artists who train, who learn and want to become performers. But there are also artists who only practice their art form for themselves and may also be performers. We've had some legendary musicians who became famous because they were great artists, but it was not their, they never became great musicians because they wanted to become performers. So it's not always connected, but yes, largely a lot of artists would like to become performers. And in today's world, I think it works backwards actually. First you've decided I want to be a performer. So then I figure what skill I want to learn, right? And I think despite the fact that you see incredible talent from across the country, one of the classic examples of this phenomenon is the reality TV. Yeah, how eager and how quick young people are in becoming performers. So um, I'm slightly old school, so I feel that you have to be very immersed and interested before you decide that I want to be a performer. Okay, let's see. Is music an innate skill or can it be learned? Oh, Babre. A.R. Rahman is, he's a genius. There's no doubt about it. And apart from the fact that he's, a brilliant composer, I think he does some other things with music which make the listening experience so beautiful. Which is, for example, how he uses other instruments. So how the guitar is playing, or how he uses a violin, or how he uses a sarangi, or he's even used instruments like the shehnai. So he, in that sense, is quite a genius. So and geniuses are not born every day. So well, it takes many epochs before you actually have the likes of Kesar Bhai Kerkar or a Bhimsen Joshi or an A.R. Rahman. Yeah. Having said that, there are people who have it in them to be singers, even if they are not trained. And one of the master examples of this is a very well-known playback singer from the 50s onwards. His name was Manna Day. And Manna Day Saab was not a trained singer, but I would urge the students, Manna Day, Manna, and his surname was Day, De. I would really urge you all to Google search him. And even if the sound is not as Coke Studio-ish, listen to some of his songs, and you'll be shocked that he was not a trained singer. Even Kishore Kumar, they say, was, a prodigy. So yes, some people are just born lucky, and they find their calling in the music, and whether they're trained or not, they can sing. And there are others like us who have to flog and keep flogging. Mhm. See, the thing about rag rendition, I think one format that these look like teacher questions. I think there one format that you could maybe use is look for film songs that connect with the rag, and the rag which is popular, um, you can use songs of that rag and use that as your starting point to have a discussion on the rag. Then you can also maybe think of a simple quiz kind of format, which maybe you already do, on say choose one thought, Kalyan thought, ask them to do a Google search, read up on it, and maybe play a couple of artists who sung um rag based on that thought. So you have one session dedicated to a thought. So then you give them possibilities within that. Having said that, I think the best that a music teacher can really do in a school kind of a situation is to develop a deep interest, is to get the child to develop a deep interest and respect and and give it the dignity that it deserves. And even if we work within that framework, I think we've we've achieved a lot. Don't feel too pressured कि सारे थाट नहीं मालूम, समाज में इनको ये नहीं पता, कल्याण में ये नहीं पता, बिलावल में ये नहीं पता. Why do you want to do that? I think you need to ask yourself that question. Instead, if you say कि okay, we are going to understand the idea of thought, let us use kalyan as an example, and then maybe do a little quiz in the next class on. So break it down, keep it simple. Do not try and tell yourselves that you have to transfer the entire knowledge system of classical music to class 6, 7, 8, or whichever classes it is that you teach. I definitely feel that as long as you're able to inculcate um, some interest and maybe think of ways in which 1 or 2 sessions can be fun. Get them to compose. That's a great way to encourage them to engage with music. I like Rajasthani music. There are many classical songs which are peppy. So the way classical music is structured, it works in different speeds. So songs which are slow, songs which are a little fast, songs which are faster. So that's how it works. पेपी का मतलब क्या होता है? फुट टैपिंग होता है कि एनर्जेटिक होता है कि फन होता है? So you have a lot of holy songs, for example, even in classical. So रंगी सारी गुलाबी चुनरिया रे मुहे मारे नजरिया सवरिया रे रंगी सारी गुलाबी चुनरिया रे मुहे मारे नजरिया सवरिया रे जाओ जी जाओ करो ना बतिया अभी बाली है So anyway, this can also be peppy if you want. मजेदार है, छेड़छाड़ है इसमें और यूथ को लेके कुछ फ्लर्टेशन है इसमें. So peppy has many possibilities. The other question that's come to me, which I think should be the final question this afternoon, is on a little bit more about Coke Studio itself. So this phenomenon called Coke Studio actually started in Pakistan. And some of you are probably familiar with the voices that came out of the Coke Studio. There have been many, many singers, from legendary singers like Farida Khanum to more younger singers who also like Ali Sechi, who are also singing on the Coke Studio platform. Now, the reason why it began in Pakistan, I don't know if you all know, it is not, music is not very patronized. The government does not support music, various phases I'm talking about, very openly. They have, they cite religious reasons for it, and but the fact is that there is a lot of music in that part of the subcontinent as well, whether it is folk, Punjabi, Sindhi, ghazal, qawwali, kafiya, qasida, you name it. There's all kinds of music that exists in Pakistan as well. And before partition, there were so many beautiful singers who happened to be from there as well. Some of the newer names you would also know, maybe you also know Abida Parveen. So all these people, this treasure trove of this fantastic khazana of music that was there in Pakistan was not able to find a public platform. हमारे यहाँ तो बहुत तरीके हैं. आप ऑडिटोरियम में भी जाके गाना सुन सकते हैं, आप NH7 में भी जाके गाना सुन सकते हैं, आप तरह तरह की एवेन्यूज है जहाँ पे आप जाके लाइव गाना सुन सकते हैं. This was not very possible in Pakistan. With the result, they set up under the sponsorship of the company Coke, they set up a studio, and this was a massive state-of-the-art studio with superb technology, recording facilities. But वो तो किया भी जा सकता है कहीं भी. You can have state-of-the-art technology and recording facilities. But what was exceptional about the Coke Studio experiment and why it became so successful was the mind behind it. So every Coke Studio, every Coke Studio session, there are many seasons. If you Google Pakistan Coke Studio, you get 8, 9, 10, many seasons. Every season or every few seasons has a producer. तो उस बंदे को जो पसंद है, किसी को कव्वाली ज्यादा पसंद हो सकती है, किसी को गजल, या किसी को मोर कंटेम्प्रेरी साउंड ज्यादा पसंद हो सकता है, किसी को फोक ज्यादा. तो they would bring their sensibility into presenting this music. तो उधर भी आप देखेंगे कोई सूफियाना कलाम तो बहुत पुरानी चीजें हैं. मेरा इश्क भी तू, मेरा यार भी तू, ये तो पठाने खान साहब भी गा के जा चुके हैं. लेकिन उसको भी कोक स्टूडियो में लाया गया, उसको रीवर्जन किया गया, उसको एक कंटेम्प्रेरी फील, लुक. So they would actually rearrange the sound of the song and record it on video and put it on YouTube. and it became a huge, huge success. And what it did, most importantly, was in a way it documented the treasures of music that existed in Pakistan. And similarly, after that, India also took the cue, and we set up our own Cook studio. And again, we were looking at different genres of music. तो उसमें भी ज्यादातर फिल्मी गाने नहीं होते हैं कोक स्टूडियो में in India, but you'll have the one that I wanted you all to see on Coke Studio, which is really what prompted me to title this session from classical to Coke Studio, is something called Malhar Jam. Please do check it out. Basically, it's a bandish in one of the malhars, which has been reversioned by a band. And the bandish, like I told you, the song is called the bandish. The bandish is actually attributed to Mia Tansen, right? So that's another journey that the music has made all the way from the court of Akbar into the Coke studio of Bombay. We stop. So I would, I wish to thank whoever is there for making time this afternoon. I know these are very difficult times, but to that extent, I think music is a great, great savior. And keep singing, keep listening. Don't stop singing. Doesn't matter कौन है, सुनने वाला भी नहीं है भी नहीं है घर पे, तो कभी भी गा सकते हो. कुछ भी गाइए, दिल खोल के गाइए, बेशर्म होके गाइए. And enjoy the music. Stay safe. And thank you again, Takshila Education Society, for inviting me to share my thoughts. And all the students, please make sure that you Google up all the names that I mentioned. Thank you.